This is yet another tutorial for Roland's Zentracker app. This tutorial covers editing audio and making loops. Tap on the button in the lower left-hand corner to switch to audio editing mode. It is helpful to name your tracks and your audio recordings. To rename the track, double tap on Audio Track. Triple tap on the text to select it, then type in the name. Let's look at the buttons on the track itself a little more closely. Solo is used when you need to listen to that track alone. It mutes all of the other tracks. This is useful, for example, when you are applying effects and want to hear the difference clearly. Mute silences that track alone. Record enable we covered in the first tutorial. Automation we covered in a past tutorial. Freeze is represented by a snowflake icon. Freezing a track saves processing power, so it's used mainly when the track is sounding the way you want it to and you don't want to edit it in any way anymore. This allows the program to focus its processing energy elsewhere. Settings is represented by a gear icon. When you tap on that, you can rename the track. You can also just double tap on the name as we did before. Duplicate the track to create loops. Cut removes the audio and then you can paste it somewhere else or back in the same spot. The paste option shows up in the menu after you cut. Copy the track to paste elsewhere in the song or piece. Lock patterns keeps the audio recording where it is in the track so that you don't accidentally move it somewhere. Freeze the track, we already covered. You can do that using the icon in the track. Change track icon to something that represents the sound more closely. You have a choice of many lovely things. Change the color of the track. Save track template is useful when you have settings that you like to use often. And you can delete the recording and replace it with something else. Copy and duplicate are also available as buttons under the recording when you tap and select it. The other buttons under the track are Edit, represented as a pencil. We looked at it a little in the tutorial on automation. We will go deeper into this shortly. Then we have Copy and Duplicate, which we recognize from the settings menu in the side. After that is the split audio button if you want to cut up your recording into parts. Mute will silence just that recorded part. And then there is another settings button. The second settings button has the following options. Less simply hides most of the buttons. Lock pattern is what we looked at before. So this would just lock this particular piece of audio instead of all the different pieces in the track. Rename the audio recording, which can be useful to name parts of songs, verse, chorus, section A, etc. Then again, we have cut and copy and color. Break up loops if you want to cut just a section of a loop, and delete recording. As we looked at before, you tap on the audio recording in the track to edit it. you will see triangles in each corner. The lower triangles trim the audio. The upper triangles create crossfades, which you can use for fade-ins and outs, but it's mainly used to merge audio together. This is usually for editing different takes, which are multiple recordings of the same thing, so you can stitch together the best version of each part. Let's say you were playing some written music and you make a mistake in the 10th measure. You can insert a recording of just the 10th measure, and you can use the crossfades to make it sound like there was never any edit ever at all. This is very common in recording. This is why studio recordings always sound so perfect. You can also tap on the pencil icon to edit the audio more precisely. So we'll call this the precise editing view. You'll see the same 4 triangles, but also another set at the very top. You can use the top triangles to time stretch your audio, make it longer or shorter. This will show up in terms of seconds as displayed in the center. In the upper right-hand corner of the screen, you will see Snap. By default, it is selected and orange. Snap means that the edits you make will line up with the beats of the song or snap to the time grid. If you do not want that, deselect it. I deselect it usually in the case of really wanting a specific part to line up with the beat. So for example, I can see a part where there is a louder section and maybe I want that to actually line up the beat. So I would deselect Snap so that I can really cut this audio. I can trim right up to the edge of that and then move the whole thing over in the other audio editing view. To exit this view, tap on the X in the upper right-hand corner. In the audio editing view, a 4th button appears on top of the usual 3. When you tap on it, another set of controls appear. Loop region. This is a better way to loop instead of the X squared duplicate button. If you have not already done so, select the region by tapping on it, then tap the Loop Region button, which turns orange. Now tap and hold the outer center edge of the region and drag it to the right. It will then repeat for as far as you want it to go. The middle button is best used in precise editing view because here you can select what the topmost triangles do. Stretch time without affecting pitch, or change pitch without affecting time. The bottom button is always fun. This reverses the audio, playing it backwards. You'll also see that you can set gain for specific regions. Let's say there's just one small part of your recording that is too quiet or too loud. Use the split button to isolate that region, and then you can set the gain for just that part. You can also set pan for the region as well. The final item you will find helpful in editing your recording is the timeline. At the top, in all the views, you'll see the time in hours, minutes, and seconds. Tap the minute-second button, and you'll see the time represented in measures, beat, and beat subdivisions, usually 16ths or 4 subdivisions per beat. Next to that is the timeline displaying each track as a band of color. The white triangles represent the part that will play when you press the loop audio button. This is useful, again, especially if you are applying effects and you really want to hear the changes. This will just keep looping this section of audio over and over so that you don't have to keep pressing play over and over again. It will just loop that section, not to be confused with creating a loop in your track.